Yeah, just was going to say it's an honor to be in the Rose Bowl. Played a few games there, but never in the actual Rose Bowl. So just really fired up to go against the number one team in the country. See Mendoza in person, Heisman Trophy candidate, or winner, I should say, and heck of a quarterback and just a great staff. They do a great job. So looking forward to the opportunity.
All right, thanks, Coach. Let's start on the far right here today.
Yeah, what's the biggest thing you want the offense to carry over from the second half of that Oklahoma game?
Their resiliency. What they showed, is what we felt they've been capable of all year is when the chips are down, you got to be at your best, play to our standard, not the circumstances, and I thought, that was what they did. And, we've preached that for quite a while, or I have anyways, that, we got to play to our standard, in practice and in games, and when it's not perfect, that we don't, fall down to the circumstances and fall out of love with the game when all of a sudden you're down a couple touchdowns or something. And I just thought they played so hard, and Ty was, I thought at his all-time best, in my opinion, just the way he was, his resiliency on the sideline, his mindset, just the things he was saying in between series. There just was a belief that, if I was down there playing with Ty, I would have believed, like, we're going to get this done. So I think that unwavering belief and just the guys with a really, really tough start, obviously, the football game, that they, knew they could move the football on these guys, had done it before, and just stuck to the plan.
Let's go to front left. Chase.
My question's similar to that one. I want to ask you more about Ty in the Oklahoma game. He obviously played better in the second half than the first half, but apart from just performance, did you also detect a different Ty in terms of the intangibles, confidence, poise, command, things like that in the second half versus the first half? And if so, where do you think that might have come from?
I did for sure. And I think, as far as where it came from, I think that there was a mindset going into the game that was embedded in Ty. And I think that it was one that you saw in the Georgia game earlier in the year and things like that, where there was a little bit of the just let it rip mentality, not worrying so much about, what's going on around him or, how this could affect anything else other than just playing, and obviously for a 22-year-old young man, that's a lot of pressure. And, I think he did a good job of just stay in love with the process, be in the game plan, be ready for the game, and let it keep building and adjust as you go in the game and get ready to make the play. And I just think he was in that moment. He was in the zone as far as just staying locked into the game. And I really felt like he knew that we were going to make a play, and that, we got a couple man coverage looks that we had been wanting, that we won on, and was, Lottie got it all sparked when he hit that third down on a man opportunity. And I just felt like Ty was going to be ready for that moment. That's how I felt talking to him on the headset, was just that if we got that moment, he was going to make the throw and we were going to make the catch. And, we did, and we kept capitalizing on those moments.
Let's go to Charlie on the far right side.
With Indiana, they're kind of at the top nationally in just about every statistic you look at.
Yep.
When you watch them on film, kind of what jumps out immediately?
Really disciplined defense. They play very disciplined. They're exactly where they're supposed to be. They execute their system at a really, really high level. They tackle really well. And I think one thing I see that we've been challenging our guys on, they defeat blocks. And I wish I could tell you something way more sexy than that, but it's like they're really good at the little stuff, and that's what you see, in good defenses is teams that defeat blocks, run to the football, tackle well, force turnovers. They do all the little things really, really well, and that's what we got to be ready for. Because you'll see plenty of plays on film where it's like this play is developing, it's got a shot, it looks like it's going to be well executed, and then they just simply defeat the block, and they win at the point of attack. And so, just a good smash mouth team that you can tell are very well coached.
Let's go to Joe right in the middle of the room there.
Coach, I'd like to ask you about a specific play from that Oklahoma game in the fourth quarter. You're up 7, and Ty hits a 24-yarder to Jeremy Bernard down. It basically sets up the Daniel Hill final touchdown. Just what was your perspective on the play that Jeremy made with that reception, Ty's confidence to deliver the ball, and just kind of anything that you noticed in particular about that play and what it did for the team?
Well, the first thing I think of is just exactly what you said, the confidence of him to throw the football. And Ty had a couple different options on that play. He didn't have to take that throw to Jeremy. So the fact that he chose to do that and put the ball down the field and play like that versus man coverage was, something that I thought was, just a good sign of things to come, that those two are on the same page, and the fact that he didn't overshoot the ball. And, Germ, obviously, he underthrew it probably obviously more than he intended, but, that Germ would make the play for him. And then the other part would just really, I thought, showed how in tune to the football game Ty was. That was their backup corner. We had talked about replacement players getting in there, and, he went right at him. And so I just thought it, showed a lot of savvy on Ty's part.
Go third row on the right, Mike.
Just what have these last couple of weeks been like for you with some of the shuffling, on the offensive staff, and just what does it mean to you to have Nick get the opportunity at Michigan State?
Oh man, Nick's much more than a coworker. He's a dear friend. I mean that. He's just an absolute stud. So, in this profession, you celebrate the wins for the good guys, and Nick's definitely one of them. So I think, for him, just being able to go take that next step. Nick has always been really, really good at building, and I think that's what you see with great coaches is guys that they just take steps. They just keep they develop. They stop somewhere. They're with people, they grow, and they become even better coaches. And I think that, for Coach Fitzgerald, he got a great one. So as far as for the staff, there's certainly some complications that go with those things. I would say, again, not to over-compliment Nick, but none of those complications have ever come from Nick. He has just been a total stud. If there's somebody that's up in the office as much as me, it's Nick, and he's always right there, to talk about whatever we're going through. So he's been great, and I think, his unwavering support, and just even from the beginning when he first told me what was going on, one of the first things he said is, I'm here to the end, Grubb. Like, I'm not taking the job until we go win this thing. So, and that was like statement number one. And it just says a lot about his character, kind of person he is. So super excited for him.
Let's go to the far left side of the room to Will.
Coach DeBoer said going into last game that he wanted you guys on the offense to add to your identity in the running game. That's a really good defense that you guys beat against Oklahoma, and then another really good one that you're going to face in the Rose Bowl. How do you think you guys can add to your identity in the running game in the Rose Bowl?
Got to get started earlier. We got to stop doing this first quarter shenanigans, waiting to get the run game going until the second and third quarter. We're capable of doing it earlier in the game. We got good enough players. The scheme's there. We just got to execute earlier in the football game. I didn't think, that's been our problem as of late. A couple games where we've gotten off to a slow start. That has not been the case all year, but some critical games where I just didn't feel like we were ready for the physical strain early on. And the guys know that. They're up for the challenge. And I think we'll see a different football team in the first quarter at the Rose Bowl.
Let's go to Blake on the back right.
Yeah, what kind of impression have the early enrollees made for you this week in practice specifically, maybe Jett at quarterback?
None really yet. Great guys. They really honestly haven't done anything yet. They've been out running around. I know Cedarian's been doing an awesome job over on the scout team for the defense, which is really cool. I know we got a couple of the young defensive players over with us, so I'm actually getting a better look at those guys than the offensive guys. And Jett played a little bit of catch last night. He really just got here, and so did Mac. So nothing yet, but just excited. It's kind of really a cool entry point for these guys into the program here at Alabama. Is just we're on a playoff run. We're going to the Rose Bowl. I think in their mind, I would think this is everything they signed up for. Is this is what they want it to look like when they're in those seats.
Okay, we do have time for one last question
Yep.
from the Zoom. It'll be from Katie Wyndham. Katie, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hey coach, just what did you like about Ty's decision making against Oklahoma and really the whole offense and taking care of the ball, and how important is that going to be against an Indiana defense that's been pretty tough to score on this year?
Yeah, the turnover margin obviously was something that we harped on. That was we felt like that was the reason we lost the game the first time to Oklahoma, and so it was a huge point of emphasis for us. And honestly, I still didn't think we did a good enough job. The ball was on the ground a couple times that it shouldn't have been. And so, we just always say there's blood in the water when people see that. So obviously Indiana's watching that. They're good at getting the ball out. So we're putting a ton of emphasis on that as usual at practice. And so for us right now, I think that when you play tight football games in the playoffs and good defenses like this, we got to take care of the ball. We got to be careful with our decision making, and anybody that touches the football, we just tell them to imagine that's Old State Alabama handing them the ball, so they got to take care of that thing.
All right, thank you, Coach.
You bet.
Yeah, Ty, with Coach Sheridan getting an OC job, just what has he meant to you, and how happy are you that he's kind of sticking it out with you guys through the playoffs?
Certainly very proud of Coach Sheridan and what he's doing for himself and his brand and his career. He told us as quarterbacks, right, like, he wants to call plays, and then going back to Michigan, of course, like with his family is very, very important to him. So just super proud of everything that he's done. And, he's very important to me, not only as a coach, but as a player and a person. Just because, somebody who I can always come talk to, whether, about football or life in general. So, super happy for him and his family, and it means a lot to me in my career.
Let's go to Joe in the middle of the room.
Ty, I want to take you back to the Oklahoma game and ask you about a specific play. In the fourth quarter, you hit Jeremy down the sideline that set up the Daniel Hill final touchdown. I just want to know maybe your perspective on that play. Was it an RPO, and what did you see? What gave you confidence to throw it to Jeremy, and then Jeremy making the play and making the catch over the guy's head?
Yeah, how can I forget that play? So it was a RPO type play, right? There was a play before that actually that we ran a similar type play, and they had one-on-one with Ryan going the other way. And we came back to the sideline, and we were like, hey, if we get another one-on-one chance, like, just, hear me out, or whatever. And so sure enough, right, like same type, similar play, bring a motion in, and had one-on-one, knew the corner was who the corner was. And, I wanted to give German a chance and knew the down and distance and where we were on the field. So I was like, hey, man, let's go get it right. And German, an outstanding play, nothing that I didn't expect him to do. Probably should have thrown him a better ball. But, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games.
Go to Nick on the far right.
Coach Grove mentioned that he saw you have the kind of let it rip mentality, and that led to a lot of success in the Oklahoma game. How do you continue that and make sure that you bring that to the Rose Bowl?
I think it starts with just kind of the not caring mentality. I talked about after the game about how everybody just kind of wrote us off, me included, and it made me feel some type of way. And so thank you guys, thank the media. It's kind of the same mentality going in, right? Like nobody expected us to make it to the Rose Bowl. Nobody expected us to make it to the playoffs. So it's kind of the same thing, right? Like just forget the world. It's all about Alabama, and so that's the mindset going in. And it's going to be the mindset forevermore.
Let's go to Will on the far left side.
Obviously, a lot of storylines going into this game, but you're one of the guys that's been there before. What do you remember about the last trip to the Rose Bowl, and how have you come along this season to help you be ready for this one?
Yeah, first off, right, like growing up, playing in the Rose Bowl is a dream come true. It's such an honor because of the big time game and the implications. But I was talking to Terrion and Patrick Surtain on their podcast about this game, and just remembering one, how it started, right? Like I think Caleb got a pick, or something like that, something to where like the momentum had shifted. And there were just key plays in the game to where we could have put the game away, but we didn't. And I remember, that last play and we getting stopped, and how, Michigan rushed the field or whatever, and how we felt in the locker room, and just telling myself like, hey, if we ever got, this place again, to making sure that I do everything I can to make sure we don't feel that way. And that's kind of the mindset going in of, making sure that I'm crossing every T and dotting every I, of doing what I can to prepare like I've never won and perform like I've never lost. So that's kind of the mindset going in, and, understanding that, I understand the 1,000th win, if that's not mistaken, like a 1,000th win for Alabama, and just moving on with the season. So.
Let's go to Jamie in the back right.
Hey, Ty. So Indiana's undefeated, playing in the biggest game in school history. Does that add pressure for you, or does it make it more like, I'm ready to seize the moment?
Yeah, I think, if anything, it's more exciting. Indiana is a really, really, really good team. Like, I'm very impressed with what they're doing on film, what they've done throughout the season. Their defense, how disciplined they are and what they do. And it just honestly makes, the stakes bigger, right? Like, number one team in the country, 13-0, Big Ten champions, got the Heisman Trophy winner, got one of the best third down defenses in the country. So, being able to go out there and play and perform and be a competitor is all you can ask for. So, the team's super excited, and the guys are, just ecstatic to be there.
Let's go to Chase on the front left.
Do you know Fernando Mendoza from camp travels or anything of that sort? And if so, what's that relationship like?
Yeah, I do not know Fernando. I do know people who do know him, and they say all great things about him, just not only as a player, but as a person. Watch his interviews and just very, very impressed with what he says and what he does, and especially, the tape speaks for itself. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. So, just as a player and a person, just ton of respect to him.
Let's go to Charlie, follow up with him on the far right here.
Just going back to Indiana's defense, when you watch them on film, kind of what jumps off the page first for you?
How first off, how they all play together. Like, there's not one person on that defense who doesn't play for each other. They all fly to the ball. They all doing their job. Another thing is how hard they play. They're always flying to the ball, like I said, like doing their job. And just how disciplined they are is the biggest thing. Like, they're always going to be in the right spot. They're always going to make sure that every blitz is, the right pattern, and they're going to disguise it very well. And that's what, got them to this point. They do a really, really good job on third down of distracting your eyes. And then on first and second down, they're going to make sure that they rally and tackle. So, we got to understand that we got to do our job. And make sure we stay on track, and that's the biggest thing on the first and second down.
All right, thank you, Ty.
Coach Grubb said he wants to see the running game get going earlier against Indiana. What are some of the ways that you see that you guys can make an impact in the early stages of the game?
It's all about preparation. It all starts off in practice, just building a relationship with the online, just working with each other, just to get that running game going.
Let's go to Joe in the middle of the room.
You said it's all about preparation. What do you see in your preparation in this Indiana front? I believe they're top 3 in the nation in rush defense.
Indiana, they a great team. Watching their film, they hardly make any mistakes. So preparation is going to be a big thing during this game. It's all about who could do their job the best.
Let's go to the far right to Charlie.
You obviously missed some time because of injury. Just how are you feeling, and how good was it to get back on the field for the team?
All the injuries, I'm good now, 100% healthy. Just be able to be in the game with the team now, it's always a great feeling, just being with the brothers.
Let's go to the far right. Stay on the far right with Nick.
Yeah, what do you remember from that Rose Bowl 2 years ago?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody know that was a bad feeling. We was right there, but everything happened for a reason. And now we get a second chance to go out there and just prove everybody wrong.
All right, let's go to the front left over to Chase.
Yeah, just getting back to how you're feeling physically a little bit. What did the week off ahead before the Oklahoma game do for you?
Everybody know we got a great training staff here. So I did a lot of training. Just getting my body ready. Just getting ready to prepare for that game.
We do have a question from the Zoom. Let's go to the Zoom. We'll take the question from Colin Gay. Go ahead, Colin, when you're ready.
Hey, Jam. Obviously, this is the first time that Alabama has ever faced Indiana. I mean, what's kind of the impression of, Indiana from afar, or kind of the battle between the SEC, the Big Ten, things like that?
It ain't really no difference. It's a whole nother team. Everybody's there. They do the same thing we do. We eat, sleep, breathe. It's just a whole nother opponent in our way.
All right, let's finish up here on the front right with Nick.
Yeah, I should ask that question a better way. What can you take from that Rose Bowl experience to help you the second time around?
Just better preparation. To be able to execute. Just everybody go out there and just do everything 110% instead of 100%. We just gotta beat our opponent at the end of the day.
All right, thank you, Jam.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Yeah, it looked like you got a special delivery from Randy Moss. Tell us about that and what that was like to get that.
Yeah, I mean it was a dope moment, man. I didn't expect that to come. After we lifted, the other day, Ty was like, we got a present for Unc here. I'm like, what's the present? Like, we just got done lifting, we all sweaty and stuff, and like he presented me the glove, so it was cool to share that moment with my teammates.
Let's go to Will, far left.
Obviously, at Washington, you guys won the Pac-12 because of the geography of the old playoff format. Didn't get to go to the Rose Bowl. What is it going to mean to you to step on that field in this setting and with this team?
Oh man, I think it's a great opportunity for this team to be able to be back at a place that they lost 2 years ago. To have this opportunity to play again in a historic game and just make ourselves legendary. So I mean, everybody's excited for this game.
Let's go to Joe, right in the middle of the room.
Nick set me up here, but I'd like to ask you about that play in the fourth quarter, just kind of your perspective going up over the defensive back, maybe Ty's confidence in you to throw the football, kind of what that meant to you and maybe what you remember from that play.
Yeah, we kind of harped on taking more downfield shots, preparing for the Oklahoma game. We knew that we were kind of missing that in our offense. We had guys like Latsier and Isaiah Brooks that made great plays down the field. That really helped us in our game. And then I was just one-on-one coverage. Ty, he's been playing good all night. He trusted me, and then it was just me going up to make a play. Regardless of where the ball placement was, I knew I had to make a play in that critical moment, and I just couldn't let Ty down. He trusted me to throw that one-on-one ball, so I couldn't let him down in that moment.
Let's go to Blake on the back right.
Yeah, what has Sedarian Morgan shown you in these first couple of days of practice as an early enrollee and just as a veteran? What advice do you have for him?
Man, he's gonna be a great player here. I'm excited to watch his growth and how he is going to succeed. He's a big receiver. Obviously, he listens very well. He takes coaching. He's eager to learn. He's been really good, giving our guys on scout team a look. And so, I mean, it's exciting to see a guy like that come in early. It really helped me in the long run, and I think it's gonna help him even more elevate his game. So I'm excited to see his growth.
We'll take a question from the Zoom. Go ahead, Katie, with your question.
Ty thanked us after the game, the media, for kind of doubting and giving them an opportunity to prove us wrong. Is that something this team relishes, is the opportunity to prove people wrong, especially now as you face the number one team in the country?
Not necessarily. We're always just focused on us and playing our best game. But obviously it adds an extra fuel to our fire, knowing that everybody is down us and nobody wants to see Bama win. So we put that on our shoulder and we just work harder.
Question standing up in the back left there.
Coach Grubb talked just about Ty's mentality with you guys going down 17. What was it like for you, for the entire offense, to kind of see the way he led in that moment?
Yeah, so I mean, Ty is a great leader for just his whole team, not just for the offense, but for him to lead the right way and have the right energy on the sideline, continue to encourage guys to continue to push forward through their adversity. We need that from our leader, from a key piece of our offense. It doesn't really, the offense doesn't really go unless he goes. So it was just great for him to have that energy on the sideline because it just made everybody else go as well.
All right, we'll finish up with Nick here on the front right.
Yeah, one more question about the catch. How many guys have you mossed like that in your career?
I made a few cool catches within my career, but that definitely is at the top, man. To be able to do that in a critical game, in a critical moment, that's something that you dream for. So for that to come true is really, really cool.
All right, thanks, Jeremy.
Sir, thank you guys.
I think Coach Cap mentioned that your injury typically for most players is like a month injury, and you were back pretty quickly. Just what was it like kind of going through the rehab, and what things did you have to do on that?
I mean, obviously I trusted the training room, and they were telling me that there was a good chance that I'll be back sooner than what people usually are back by. I mean, obviously fighting through injuries is tough, but they did a really good job of just like helping me through that process, mentally as well. Just figuring out how I'd be able to go by Saturday.
Let's go to the far left, Will.
What's your impression of just being on this stage and having the opportunity to play in this game after you guys have had so many critical games in this recent stretch? How do you feel this team's mentality is, and how ready do you feel that this team is to play in the Rose Bowl?
I feel like we're ready to go. I feel like this team is a team of fighters. And to answer the Rose Bowl question, I mean, I'm from the West Coast, kinda. I'm from Arizona, so being from out there, it's always been a dream to play in the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, I'm excited for this one.
Let's go to Joe, right in the middle of the room.
Parker, I've been asking everybody about the Jeremy Bernard Moss catch in the fourth quarter. Obviously, on an RPO, it's tough for an offensive lineman to see what happens down the field. When did you realize that Ty did take that shot, and when did you kind of were able to grasp the impressiveness of Jeremy's catch, and what did that do for y'all as an offense?
I mean, what it did for us, I mean, it turned us up. It got us fired up. But yeah, so I was blocking my guy, right? And then, I mean, I didn't even know what really happened, to be honest. I just seen Jerm with the ball down the field, and the ball kind of came out, so I'm running to the ball, and I don't really know what happened. The ref called it a complete catch, and then, yeah, I mean, that was that.
Let's go to Blake on the far right.
What kind of advice have you given to Chris Booker as an early enrollee, and just what has he shown you in these first couple of days of practice?
I mean, I haven't had too many opportunities to talk to him, but I mean, from what I pretty much told him was just, you know, like coming in as a freshman, it's a lot. Like it's a big transition. Obviously, just being able to keep your head down and putting to work every single day is a big thing that has helped me going from when I was a freshman playing scout team to where I am now. So yeah.
Jamie, you got a question back row right?
Indiana's defense has been tough in the trenches. How do you approach physicality early to set the tone on offense?
I mean, just like you said, physicality early. But I mean, they're a great team. They don't mess up on almost anything. They're very disciplined. You know, so it's a great front seven for sure, and it's going to be a challenge for us. But I think we're ready for it.
Any other questions for Parker? Let's finish up with Nick. Jen, Nick on the front right.
Yeah, Coach Grubb mentioned that they've got guys who can get off blocks type of deals. So what are you guys going to do or try to do to make sure that that doesn't happen?
I mean, it really comes down to just outstraining our opponent. That's really what it is every week. You know, their D tackle, they're a nose guard. I mean, he's a good player. Like he's good at using leverage. He has good hands, good at getting off blocks, all that. So I mean, just being able to outstrain him and you know, being able to go essentially harder than he can is basically my goal.
All right, thank you, Parker.
Appreciate you.